Hello, good people. How are you this evening? This fine day. I am Aisha. Aisha here to inspire. Aisha Exotic Faces. Aisha Nicole. And how are you feeling? I'll let a few people kind of get logged in before I get started. Talking about fibroids. We're talking about holistically healing your fibroids this evening. And this is part 3 of the webinar series that I have been conducting here live. And we're going to dive a little bit deeper. So the first week we discussed the root cause of the fibroids, or how at least what I believe to be the root, beyond anything medical. And last week we spoke about herbs and different healing modalities that you can, the things you can do with the herbs, including steaming with the herbs. And tonight I'm going to talk about the mental and spiritual impacts on the fibroids and on your healing, regarding your healing, okay? This part is big because this is the piece that's not addressed at the doctor. Not very often. They may talk about the food, they may talk about the outside influences that are impacting you, but this I very rarely have heard discussed, the mental and spiritual aspects of what could be impacting the fibroids, as well as generational things. So I want to talk a little bit about that tonight. Our bodies as women are amazing, first of all, but women are receptive, internal. Our sexual organs are internal. They don't project outside of us. They are internal. They're on the inside. Therefore, anything that's internal, and I like to think of the womb as like a bowl. Anything that's like that can collect things, can collect energy. And we're speaking mostly non-seen things. We're now in a time where a lot of people are not considering the has on our bodies. I think it froze for a second. The impact that energy has on our bodies, right? Our bodies, we're energetic beings, okay? And we're a part of the planet. So energy is always impacting us, whether you have awareness of it or not, whether you believe in that or not. It doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with your belief system. It's just there. There are certain things that we know are there that you can't see. Microwave waves, radio waves. You can't see them, but you know they're there. You can hear them. We're using this technology. We're on our phones, 4G, 5G. That's a technology that you can't see, but you know it's present and that it's showing up. So this is the same thing about energy that we carry as individuals. And when we interact with each other, we're often exchanging energies. You can walk past a person you've ever walked into a room and said, "Oh, the vibe in here just feels off. Something just feels off," That could very well be speaking to the energy that's present in the room. That has nothing to do with how clean it is, because again, we can't see energy. The more sensitive you are, the more that you meditate, the more empathic you are, the more that you can start to feel the impacts of energy, but we generally don't feel energy. Okay? So energy impacts a lot of our ailments that we may have. You hear me reference Chinese medicine a lot, that deals with the energetic fields that run throughout the body, right? So we have you have different meridians that run through your body that correspond to different organs in your body. And often these organs correspond to different emotions in the body. So you guys stay with me here, okay? I'm not going to go too deep in breaking down all of the meridians that go through the body, but I am going to touch on the emotions and the key organs that impact fibroids, okay? So, what impacts fibroids? Anger, repressed emotion, whatever that is, whether it's repressed anger, repressed sadness, regret, all those things can impair your fibroids. You can be holding on to something that happened to you 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and is stored in your womb. Some people believe in what's called a womb imprint. Therefore, anytime that there's been any type of like trauma or tragic situation that's occurring within you, that your womb imprint says, it'll leave an imprint on the womb, almost like a little scar. Okay? So for people that have had sexual trauma or molestation, and you haven't done any type of energy healing around it, maybe you've done some emotional and mental healing, which is good. You'd be ahead of the pack because a lot of people haven't done that. But you haven't done any energetic healing around it. It can still leave this imprint on the womb. And by continuing to engage in situations or scenarios or relationships with people that are contributing to that womb, or they're adding more little bitty wounds over time, that adds up. Now, we're just speaking energetically here, but everything starts out as energy, right? Everything starts out as a frequency. Everything is energy initially. So you have you were in a bad relationship or an abusive relationship or something like that. Maybe you were having sex when you didn't really want to have sex. Going along with things you didn't necessarily want to go along with. It's a variety of scenarios, okay, that I could describe right now. Those things can impact you. They can really severely impact your womb and leave negative imprints on the womb, even if the person wasn't like putting hands on you. You don't have to have been abused physically to have been in an abusive relationship. You can be in an emotionally abusive relationship, okay? You can be dealing with somebody that just doesn't respect you, that doesn't honor you, that talks down to you all the time, that uses emotional manipulation. You could be in a relationship with a narcissist. All these things can impact you on a not so good level, and leave negative womb imprints. Okay, that's one. So you get in a lot of fibroids don't show up for women until they get into like their mid-30s. I see. Mid-30s, maybe early 40s. I don't hear a lot of women in their 20s talking about it. So you've gone, so many years, however, depending on when you started engaging in things, or you can have womb trauma from when you were a kid, before you even started engaging in adult relationships. Get water. So you could have been accumulating this womb trauma for years. And then one day you realize that your period's really heavy, or it's very painful, or you've gone from having a 3-day period to a 7-day period, or 8 or 10-day period, and you're like, what's going on? You go to the doctor, they do the little ultrasound, they're like, oh, you look like everyone else, you have fibroids. And you're like, oh wow, okay, how did that happen? Most of the time they have no idea. They're like, oh, this is just normal. A lot of women your age have them, especially African American women. A lot of women have them. It just, it just is what it is. So we can talk about what's going on, what options you have after. We can just talk about what options you have. Often it might be hormone therapy, or it might be, they might recommend surgery. It depends on how big they are, how many you have, and where they're located. And often your age, if you have children, if you don't have children, right? So with that being said, the energetic impact of those experiences can be a contributing factor to your fibroids, okay? You can just be an angry person, Okay? Anger inhibits the liver. That is the emotion that's connected to anger, is the liver. So if you're just angry, you've just been mad, and you're always mad too. You're mad at your mom, you're mad at your dad, you're mad at your mate, you hate your job, you don't like your kids, you're mad at the choices that you've made in life, okay? There are a lot of angry people out here that are trying to medicate and make themselves feel better by stuff, make outside things outside of themselves. A lot of people don't like to go internally because it's work, because it's uncomfortable, So, yeah, it's uncomfortable to do the work. But if you don't do the work, I feel like the alternative is even more uncomfortable, But these aren't conversations we're having. These aren't things that are being discussed, about the importance of taking the time out to make sure that you heal yourself appropriately, so that you're not going through so much trauma, or you're going through the trauma and then you can start to recognize your patterns. Okay, so just to stay on course, the liver is impaired by anger, rage, regret, just being mad all the time. If your liver is not functioning properly, this can throw off your entire body, and the liver is going to filter out excess stuff. It's like your filter, right? Like a garbage disposal, or like your filter. So if your body is producing excess estrogen for whatever reason, we can look at the first video and talk about a lot of the reasons why the body picks up excess estrogen. But if your estrogen levels are up too high, then they have to be filtered out by the liver. But if the liver is not functioning properly, it can't filter out all the excess estrogen. And guess what? Guess who eats up the estrogen then? The fibroids. They just chomp, chomp, chomp like Pac-Man. They just eat up the estrogen that's there. They just eat it up, eat it alive. So I want you all to start to be mindful of your moods and how you're feeling about things. The womb is amazing because it's also a gauge. It can let you know when something's not cool. Like the more that you pay attention to it and listen to it, pay attention to the little pains or shoots and things that you might feel within the womb region, it'll let you know if something is not for your highest good. It will. You might just feel a little tingle that's there. Or just feel off. Trust your gut. Trust your intuition more. I don't think we're trusting ourselves enough. We're always looking outside of ourselves for things, for answers, to know if you're on the right path, to know if yay or nay, if this is good for you, if that's not good for you. Trust yourself. Trust yourself more, okay? If you were in something in the past that you haven't gotten over, like you bring a relationship, for example, you bring this person's name up and you still get irate, and it's been 5 years since that relationship's over, hey, you haven't healed, babe. You still have some work that you need to do in that area. If you've done any work at all, you may not have even started the work, but that'll let you know that's a place where you need to start. If you can't have a conversation about something, even if it went toxic and it didn't go well, without becoming enraged, there's still something there that needs to be addressed. Okay? You can address it however you need to. Now, I don't advise trauma bonding with friends. That's not addressing it. Me going back and forth or calling a girlfriend, yeah, girl, I saw such and such today, and I was just disgusted when I saw that individual. And then the girlfriend kicks in, yeah, I would have hit him with my car if I saw that individual. I mean, that's not helping you. That's not helping your situation. It's probably going to be better if you can speak to an unbiased party. Someone, because when people love you, they want to defend you. They care about you. They might not call you out on your stuff. Not in my circle. My friends and my circle will call me out on my stuff, but some people won't. They'll just ride with you. They'll just go along with you, whether you right or wrong, and that's not healthy for your womb. Toxic relationships, period, are not healthy for your womb. Whether they're platonic or romantic, you have to take inventory of the relationships that you have in your life. Are these contributing anything positive to my life, or is it a negative conversation all the time? Are they dumping on me all the time? Do I feel exhausted every time I speak to this individual when I hang up? Whether that, again, is a platonic relationship or a friendship. You shouldn't feel drained energetically, or like you just have to go lie down somewhere every time you have a conversation with a friend or a family member. Your whole conversation should not be fueled with negativity, because that's not helping you heal. Now, if you're not tripping off healing, hey, have at it. But that's not helping you heal. That's really just contributing more to the problem. You're just feeding it. Your emotions are going to feed that thing. So you want to focus on the high vibrating emotions. Focus on joy, Focus on the things that make you feel good. And you don't have to have it all figured out all at one time. If you don't know what to do, sometimes you just need to take some time back and sit back with yourself. We're not even quiet enough with ourselves. There's always noise going on. There's always radio. There's always someone talking in the background. If not, then we're scrolling through the phone all day. At what point do you just sit and breathe and just take out the time to just be with the Creator, be with yourself? A lot of answers come in the silence. You can't hear if you're talking all the time. You can't hear if you're listening to nonsense all day. So, take inventory of the relationships in your life. Are they positive or are they negative? Are they lifting me up and building me up, or are they bringing me down? What are they doing? Okay. Then I put it down as like spiritual trauma, but I'm gonna speak to generational trauma. So you can look in through your bloodline maybe and see, like, did your mom deal with fibroids, and her mom, like a lot of the women in your life have reproductive issues? If that's the case, we want to analyze what's similar about how they were moving in their relationships and how you move in your relationship. I'm not speaking about anything outside of emotional and mental well-being. That's it. So, if your mother dealt with it, often we learn how to interact in relationships by whoever raised us and whoever we saw engage in relationships. So, for example, if you had a parent or a mother or an aunt or whoever that was in an abusive relationship, that's what you saw and that's what you begin to normalize. That's what you see as normal. That's your normal. There's a high probability that you may end up in toxic relationships when you get older, unless you break the cycle, because that's what your subconscious mind saw as normal. So I believe that's how generational, we can call them curses if you want to, but how generational stuff gets passed down. Often we learn how to eat from our parents. So if you have terrible eating habits, you're probably just eating how you've always been eating. That's how you learned how to eat until you learn something different. And again, some stuff is not your fault, but we're adults at this point now, so everything is your fault. Everything is your responsibility to take care of. So if you saw a series of women in unhealthy relationships, abusive relationships, or relationships where they didn't have an opportunity to put themselves first or take care of themselves, there's a high probability that you might end up in those types of relationships. And like what I spoke to earlier, those types of relationships are going to contribute to your fibroids. So before you go into, steaming, and it's all, again, it's layered, right? So you want to steam, you want to take the herbal infusions, you want to take inventory of your diet and make sure that you're not putting things in there that are feeding the fibroids. But this is just as important, if not the most important, because you have a lot of women that have gone down that path and they have done all of the things that I just listed above, but never addressed the emotional piece, never addressed their mental health, never address the trauma. How do you do that? Well, I'm a big advocate of therapy. You find yourself a therapist. Somebody that might be trained to give you some tools to help yourself. And for those that have never been to therapy, therapy is never about them telling you what to do. Often they just listen to you. You know, they may ask questions to provoke different thoughts. And you're doing the work in therapy. And it is work, because sometimes you have to revisit some situations that don't feel good, that are uncomfortable. Sometimes you have to revisit those, you know. But it's worth it every single time that you do. And it gets easier with time and repetition. So I'm a huge advocate of therapy, you know. There's so many resources out here. Like if you haven't been able to afford a therapist or something like that, BetterHelp.com does online sessions, and they have like a sliding scale thing, like guess based on your income. So if you can't afford to pay $100 a session or something like that, they can make an assessment based on what you have coming in and offer you discounted rates. I think as low as like $25 a session. That's totally worth it. You blow $25 on food, eating out in one session. Nowadays, food's expensive now. So it's worth your mental health. You know, think about all the things that you just waste money on, that we just spend on, that aren't contributing to our overall health and our overall well-being. Just think about those things for a second. Take inventory for yourself. What did you buy today? How much did you spend on just stuff today? But we tell ourselves what we can and cannot afford. We prioritize what's important to us. All people do. So, with that being said, get yourself some help. There's no shame in that. No one has to know. You don't have to tell anybody. You don't have to tell your best friend, your mama, your mate, your husband, your girlfriend. You don't have to tell anybody. This is your body. This is your journey. So you have to take the reins and take control of it. And no one can do that for you but you. Talking about holistically healing fibroids and the mental and spiritual impact that those things have on fibroids and how they impact your journey. You also can join groups, support groups. You know, there are different support groups out there. All over Facebook, there's groups. I have a group called Heal the Woman, Heal the World, where I put inspirational things and tips on there. You know, you start where you are. It's baby steps. They have actual groups that you can go to and talk to other women. If you've had trauma or you're a survivor of abuse or a traumatic relationship, you can go into a group and get yourself some help and talk to some people. But I highly recommend talking to people that you don't know, you know, that are unbiased. They don't have any vested interest in you other than helping you. That's it. Because the other stuff, it just leaves too much room for other stuff to get involved when you're venting with a family member or something like that, unless you have one that's healthy, that's an elevated person, you know, and they're not going to trauma bond with you, and they're going to give you reasonable advice. But I say go to the trained professional. I'm not going to take my car to the baker or to my hairstylist or my barber or whatever. I'm not going to take my car to get fixed by that person. You know, so we have to stop sometimes treating our friends and family members like therapists. That's not what they've been trained to do, unless that's what they do. And even if that's what they do all day. They might not want to do that with you. Now, it's one thing to vent, okay? I'm not saying repress stuff. But if you have to vent and get things out, because I believe in clearing stuff out of the body, do it in a journal. Write it down. Do an audio journal if you don't like to write. But get it out. Just don't always dump on your people. Okay? It's not healthy. So going back to the generational stuff, you may have to relearn how to be in relationships. You may have to relearn how to be in a relationship with yourself. First and foremost. Because you may have just observed toxicity all your life, and you don't know how to treat yourself well. You don't know how to take care of yourself. You don't know what self-care looks like. That's okay. Start where you are. I'm not judging you. I'm just bringing some things to your attention. If you don't know how to take care of yourself, start there. Because to heal this without going under the knife, it's a large commitment. It takes a lot of commitment to yourself. You may have to do a complete rehaul on your whole life. You might have to move if you're in a toxic place. You might have to find new work if your job is so stressful and you hate it and it's contributing to your fibroid journey. You might have to leave a relationship. You might have to do a lot of things. That's when this journey is not. It's not for anybody that's not ready. I love you, sis. It's not for the person that's not ready to do the work. If you just want to pop a pill, you know, say some affirmations in the morning, that's cool. That'll start you on the journey. That's a start, you know. We got to start somewhere. But that's not all that it takes. It's a complete life transformation. Because it took a lot to get it there. They just don't pop up overnight. These things don't just grow overnight. They grow over time, slowly and quietly. They grow, and then you don't even know they're there until it's a problem. Till you're having sex and it starts to hurt. They hit the wrong way or something like that. It's like, ooh, what was that? That hurt. Or you start having spotting in between your cycles or something. We don't really stop and pay attention until it starts to inconvenience us. When your body may have been giving you little signs the whole time. But we just ignored them. We just ignored the signs. So now is the time to stop ignoring the signs. To sit down, look yourself in the eye, in the mirror. Take true inventory of your life. Am I unhappy? In what areas of my life am I unhappy? How did I become unhappy? What can I do to get out of this place of unhappiness? Even if you don't know, once you start to ask the questions and acknowledge the fact that you're just not freaking happy, the answers will slowly but surely start to reveal themselves to you. It's like the fog. You just have to walk. Just start walking. The path will unveil itself to you on the journey. Just start walking. I don't believe in coincidence. If you were led here and you just ran up on this video, and this is something that you've been dealing with, then this is your time, and this is a beautiful opportunity for you to address it. This is your start. This could be the first step, just listening to this video. So I encourage you tonight, today, or to wherever you are, whenever you see this, really write down a list. Make a list for yourself. A happy on one side of the list, and unhappy on the other side of the list. And write all the things out on the happy side of the list that you genuinely are happy about. And write all the things on the other side of the list that you're unhappy about. And then compare them. You can just count them up. You got 3 things on the happy list and 13 things on the unhappy list. Then it's time to start taking inventory of that unhappy list. It's time to start looking at that list a little more closely and dissecting that. Got 13 things on the unhappy list. Well, what can I do? How did I get here? What can I change? Start with the easiest thing that you could change. It might be something as simple as, I hate the wall color in my bedroom. Okay, that's something easy that can be changed. Go buy some paint. Go paint the room. Room colors invoke certain emotions in us, you know? So you can walk into a room and just feel down and feel a certain type of way. You might just need to change the color in the room. You might also need to clean the energy out in your house. You might have to have your house energetically cleaned. Do you have a lot of clutter around? Do you have a lot of stuff just everywhere? Clutter holds energy. So that could be weighing you down too. That could be taken away from you energetically. So you might need to just start with clearing out your house, clearing out your clutter. Before you can clear out the clutter in your womb, you got to clear out the clutter in your environment so you can think straight, so you can function. It's hard to really process and think when you've got stuff all over the place. And I'm not talking about a junk drawer or a closet or something like that. You know who you are if I'm talking to you. You know if you got just stuff everywhere. stuff just falling out of the closet, or you're hoarding. You just keep buying stuff, buying stuff, buying stuff. You've got tons of stuff in the closet with tags on it. You know, are you trying to medicate and make yourself feel better with stuff? That's not going to that's not going to heal the wound. It's not going to, it's not going to heal the wound. So take a look around your environment. Your environment kind of lets you know how you feel internally, because again, often we're numb. We don't know how we feel because we don't take time out to feel. We just keep doing stuff. We're medicated all the time. So often we don't even know how we feel. But you know, one way that I can tell for myself in my own world that like my stress might be up a little bit, my desk will look crazy. Or your car might look crazy. You just got stuff all over the place in the car. Start right there. If you travel every day and you commute to work and your car is a mess, you're absorbing all that energy, and then you're going into the workplace and have to deal with the stress of the workplace. Then if you might have to drive in traffic home and you're driving in a car full of chaos, even if you have children. You have children, because I've heard people say this, oh, my kids, they just tear up the car, they just tear up the house. Well, you are the parent. You teach those children otherwise. Doesn't matter what age they are. You can start young. No, baby. That's not the floor is not the trash can. Pick it up. Throw it away. Put it someplace else. Teach your children. Because they're learning from you, and they're going to grow up and do the same thing. Remember, we were talking about stuff that's generational. Patterns are passed down in the bloodline. When they talk about a lot of genetic stuff, a lot of genetic diseases, a lot of genetic diseases come from genetic patterns. Doing the same thing our mamas and grandmamas did. Same unhealthy things, because some of the good stuff we want to go ahead and keep doing and pass down. But the stuff that's toxic, You saw mama die of a broken heart, or is ill all the time, or has chest pains or heart ailments or breast ailments and stuff. That's the heart chakra that's off. A lot of women have unhealed heart chakras, have heart chakras that are unbalanced for whatever reason. So let's just start taking some time out to talk to ourselves and get real with yourself. If you want to go around and lie to everybody else, that's your business, but don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. That's a sin. Don't lie to yourself. Be honest with yourself. If you're in denial, go get some help. You can start where you are. No one's faulting you for what happened yesterday or earlier today. All that matters is what you're going to do about it right now in this moment, and how you're going to proceed tomorrow. Okay? So back to your space. If your space is filthy, clean up. If you need some help, get some help. Some people have so much stuff going on that it's too emotional for them to clear it out. So you might have to call somebody to come over and help you declutter. They have services that do this. They'll come and help you get organized. Or you might have to have, that friend or family member that may just come and just, girl, you just go into the other room and they just start pulling stuff out and throwing it away. We're throwing it in the donation bin or whatever, But I would start with clearing your space so you can clear your head. And then you can take honest inventory of your life, of what's going on, of where I am. It's hard to start making changes when you can't think clearly, when you can't. How can you make changes? You can't even think. There are different healing modalities that you can do to heal your energetic body. Reiki is one of them. Some people use Tantra. That's another one. But these things are going to kind of go in and help balance out your chakras. You can get a chakra balancing treatment. You can do chakra balancing meditations for yourself. But just starting to heal that subtle energetic body is also going to help with you healing your physical body. Okay? Now, I'm just going to touch on this spiritual piece because, people have varying belief systems, and I respect everybody's belief systems. I do believe in like spiritual trauma or spiritual curses. I believe that. I believe that happens to some people. Some people, may have had just negative juju or negative stuff sent at them from other people. That requires a different type of healing practitioner to assist you with. If that's you, you can, I can give you a little more information on that. Or you can just seek it out for yourself. But ask yourself what's going on. Before you go to bed at night, a lot of people have things revealed to them in their dreams. So you can pray about that and ask for that to be revealed to you. Go to sleep and see if it comes up for you in a dream. Again, our subconscious mind, the universe, our spirit guides, they're always attempting to communicate with us. We just don't often know how to listen or know how to recognize it. So, you're here. This is step 1. I'm happy you're here. On August 22nd, I'm going to be starting the first Holistically Healing Webinars workshop. And it's going to be for 12 weeks. 12 weeks, 12 different modules of things that we'll address and actively do in our lives. And then come back and be accountable with one another. If you want more information on that, you can hit me up. I'll share it with you. I don't want to talk too much about that right now, but I do want you to know that that's available. I also have coaching sessions if you just want to do a one-on-one thing and you don't feel like doing anything with the group. But get yourself some help. If it's not me, go someplace else. I mean, there are tons of there's help out here for you. If you're ready, we all are where we are. If you're not ready, that's okay. You might just need to go clear some stuff out, and then you'll get ready. You'll become one step closer to getting ready. Wherever you are, it's fine. Whenever you start your journey, it's fine. But if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you're tired of wearing Depends with pads, with tampons at the same time, you're tired of not being able to plan a damn trip, you're tired of not being able to go outside when you're on your cycle because you're scared you might bleed through something, you're tired of not being able to have anything white sheets, white pants. These are real things that people that have serious fibroids deal with. We don't talk about it. It's quiet, but it is life inhibiting, and it just makes life suck, honestly. So work on that mental health. Work on your heart. Work on the womb trauma that's there, okay? If you had some terrible things that happened to you, or people took advantage of you, you've dealt with rape, or not even rape. Sometimes you can just be in a relationship with somebody that just does things that you don't want them to do, and you allow it for whatever reason. You know, your voice might be inhibited. You may have learned to mute your own voice. Those things will impact your womb. So don't be afraid to get yourself some help. But before you can get some help, you have to acknowledge that there's a problem. And you can be very successful on your job and make 6, 7, 8 figures and things like that and still be miserable on the inside and unhappy. So let's just, let's get healed up. And then you can really enjoy your success, your career success. That's another thing I want to touch on before I go and wrap this up is our career women. Okay? Sometimes we are so married to our careers and our work. Let's see, I'm going to put this in a way that's not going to be offensive to anyone. There are masculine and feminine polarities that exist in all of us, in men and in women, okay? And this has nothing to do with like nails, hair, cooking, cleaning, nothing like that. Just in terms of how we move in the world, how we process information, okay? Women tend to be a little bit more emotional. Men tend to be a little bit more logical. That's just one example. Now I'm talking just naturally, like the way that we naturally process information, okay? Because some of us have gotten into careers that might be very masculine oriented in terms of how the organization may be ran. We might have to be very competitive in a certain way, or you know, in our masculine more. This has nothing to do with sexuality. I'm just talking about energetic polarities, masculine and feminine. So if you have to be that way all of the time and there is no balance, that can contribute to your womb trauma as well. I'm going to go into that deeper in the class, but that's just something to think about. Are you putting work first all the time? You just work. There's no balance. There's no time for you to just sit out and smell a flower. You know, there's no time for you to take care of yourself, to take a bath. You just work out and you work, or you just go to work every day. And it's a stressful, competitive kind of work too, and work you may or may not like. That can contribute to your overall womb issues as well. So you just think about that, if that might be one of your contributing factors. But I advise you, I strongly suggest you do the list. Happy on one side, unhappy on the other side. It could be a smiley face and a sad face on one side, and write out all the things going on in your world that are bringing you joy and that make you happy, that make you smile, and write out all the things on the other side that do not, and see what comes up for you. Compare the list. And now if they're even, you're not doing so bad. You know, you want to work on getting more stuff off of that unhappy list. But if they're completely lopsided on the unhappy side, which a lot of people's are, then that'll let you know where you need to start your work right there. Okay? Check me out on aishanicole.com. Repost this webinar there. You can share it with your friends if they missed it. I'm going to be doing another one next Wednesday. That'll be the final one before the actual course begins on August 22nd. And I just want to see you all heal and get better. Heal the woman, heal the world. So you all have a great evening. Thank you so much for tuning in, for staying. I appreciate that. And I will see you all on Wednesday, unless you communicate with me before then. ASHIA Nicole, NICOLE.com, AishaNicole.com. Peace.